What's up, my man? I've owned these two 2100 series G-Shocks for a couple weeks now, and I think I've worn them just about every day. So I wanted to give my thoughts, dudes. I'm going to cover what these models are, and I'll give my opinions on the fit, the appearance, and the functions that I've used so far. So thanks in advance for watching, my man, and if you enjoy, please do drop a like, comment, and subscribe to help the channel grow. And at the end of this video, after reviewing these timepieces, I'll discuss the upcoming subscriber giveaways, so make sure you stay till the end if you're interested in that, man. Alright, these two old dogs were gifted to me by my parents for Christmas, so shout out moms and pops. The model number on these little old big dogs are shown on the screen now, and they're both available directly on the Casio website. Busters. If you've seen the videos of my watch collection, you know I'm generally a big fan of Casio for their great value and reliability, though they have missed on a couple specific watches that I own of theirs, which have been discontinued for good reason. Unlike those greasy, discontinued busters, though, these G-Shock Casioaks have made fantastic first impressions on me, and they'll be a welcome and reliable addition to my collection. So like I promised, let's talk about fit first. Now, to give you some context, as you see these watches all up on me, I'm a 5'6" young man, and I have a 6 3/4 inch wrist. Even with my teeny tiny wrist, man, I don't think these Oaks look obnoxiously large on me. If I'm being completely honest, dude, the size satisfies me quite well. They don't stand too far off my wrist, and even if the lug-to-lug length and the outer case dimensions are a little large, on paper at least, the case design and the polyurethane material in the bands allow the strap to flow around my wrist without protruding, and it looks clean in my opinion. This watch uses space really well, unlike other watches like my Invicta Pro Diver, which has lugs that stick out very far from the bezel. So while some folks might associate G-Shocks with being preposterously large, and while some models certainly are that way, I think these 2100 series Casioaks are sized commendably, even for small men. Now, aside from not feeling too big, when we talk fit, we also need to talk about the feel of the materials on my flesh. Like you might imagine with a polyurethane band, there's really nothing to complain about ergonomics-wise. The band is comfortable and light, and I'd say there are just enough holes to where you should be able to find a hole where that watch isn't too tight or too loose upon your wrist. Honestly, for me though, my ideal hole position is probably right between these two holes, since one is obviously too tight and the other is slightly loose, so the holes are fine, though they probably could benefit from being a little closer together. Alright, so we talked fit, and these are generally very comfortable and both good fitting watches right out the box, so now let's talk cosmetics. I'm a 26-year-old young man, and I've never really kept up with fashion, but I think I'm pretty well renowned within my circles for having a cool sense of style. The thing I love about these Casioaks is the range of outfits that they can go with. You can easily wear either of these with anything like athletic shorts and a t-shirt up to business casual. I wouldn't wear either of these with a three-piece suit or a tuxedo, of course, but especially the black one could even go with pieces as formal as sweater vests or suit jackets without looking too out of place. Before I get in the weeds talking low-level specifics, I want to say that from a high level, I really like both of these watches. For starters, I think the white one is extremely clean without making itself completely useless for telling time. I think it's a really hip timepiece, dude, and I think it works really well for any casual outfits, and it really pops when you wear a pair of white shoes. The silver tone components also complement each other, the lettering, the hands, and the digital readout without drawing too much attention away from the pop of the white bulk of the watch. Now, the black and silver watch I feel has a bit more range to extend beyond casual and more into business casual, and like the white, I think it's a really clean piece, and I think the color choices across the entire product really make sense. The consistent and similar silver tones across the piece all complement each other really well. I think you could argue, though, that the whitish silver lettering of G-Shock and Protection might look slightly out of place and that a darker shade or leaving them black might have looked better, but I think they look good and I think you're just nitpicking, man. Really, everything pops on this watch. The polishing inside the dial is a great touch, and the sheen on the dial itself is cool. Now, getting to more low-level stuff, I must say that I appreciate a lot of the fine details as I take a look at how Casio's engineers decided to handle the necessary defects that come with injection molding. I'll briefly touch on a few. The parting line flash on both the holes and the outer edges are extremely uniform, which is great. On the holes, they've also biased the parting line towards the underside so that flash is harder to see from the outside and easier to see from the inside. This is a trade-off which makes sense since you care more about how the strap looks from the outside than from the inside. And on the outer edges, they added a nice touch where the parting line and a sharp edge on the molded case line up. I also like that the fillets on the outer edges of the strap match a fillet on the case, and I like that the parting line follows the profile of the strap. I am slightly confused on the underside edge though, since Casio opted not to draft the outer surface enough to where the bottom mating location is nominally aligned, so you get this ledge here. Not too big of a deal. It's also worth mentioning that Casio did a great job hiding the strap's gate at the interface between the strap and the watch. The gate is where the molten polyurethane flows into the strap's cavity during the injection molding process. There will always be some obvious vestige at the gate location. As far as I can tell, there are also no visible ejector pin marks anywhere on the straps, which is mildly perplexing. Ejector pins are a component of molds that push parts out after solidification, and they generally leave indents on parts since the pins push on parts that are still relatively hot and they generally act on a small surface area. I do wonder if maybe these cylindrical indentations with these radiused edges are formed by protruding ejector pins. Wouldn't that be something? I also want to talk about the appearance from a part design perspective because there are a few great things to point out. For one, the color matching and surface finish matching between the bands and the case are fantastic. Color matching between different parts is relatively difficult in injection molding, especially with white and other light colors and a few other colors like red, but the case and both band parts look indistinguishable. Just great. Looking at the surface roughness too, the transition is just perfect. No difference in the roughness, reflectivity, or uniformity as you look from the band to the case. Wow. I will say though, Casio has designed this system with a preposterous number of crevices, so I do worry that these watches will accumulate gonk over time, which will be especially visible on the black watch. You can already see some gonk accumulating on the protruding features on the underside of the strap. Maybe these protrusions serve a purpose, like adding surface area to ensure the underside sticks in the mold and acts as the B-side, but maybe not. Anyway, the gist of it on the appearance front is that I think these are great looking and well designed watches from both a high level and a low level. I have the utmost respect for Casio as a design and manufacturing company, and they clearly make high quality watches at great prices thanks in part to good design and high sales volumes. Alright, so we talked about fit, we talked about appearance, now let's wrap this buster up by talking features. If you take a look at this hog of a manual that comes with the watch, you'll find that these guys are loaded with features like the basics, stopwatch, timer, 5 alarms, city-based time zone switching, analog and digital readouts, and a light with adjustable duration, as well as some other nice touches like the capability to fix misaligned hands, and the option to move hands out of the way of the digital readout as needed by pressing the top right and bottom left buttons. That's cool. Now, physically, these watches are going to be a couple of workhorses for years to come. They both have water resistance to 200 meters, good impact resistance, and the ability to manually realign the hands in the event of misalignment due to magnetism or impact. But I'm not going to touch on every feature of these watches in this video, man, so if you're interested, I'd recommend looking up the manual online or drop a comment or question below. In general, the features on this watch satisfy me, and I've but only scraped the surface in my first 2 weeks. Alright, we've talked fit, appearance, and features, so hopefully you now have a decent picture of these watches. If I had to give a single sentence summary, I'd say these Casioaks are a great family of watches for the young collector who wants a non-dress watch that can do it all, as well as a great family of beater watches to an established professional who wants a do-it-all watch that's respected in the watch community. In the context of my collection, though, I wouldn't call these beater watches since they're objectively nicer than all but maybe one of my watches, but I could see these being an excellent beater watch to someone with a higher end collection. Now, my Casioaks both have polymer cases, polymer bands, and mineral crystals, but you can find other Casioak models with metal cases, metal bands, or fabric straps, and the really higher end models have sapphire crystals. My models also don't have Bluetooth, but I don't foresee a ton of value in that function, though I am interested since I've never owned a watch with Bluetooth timekeeping, so if you have one and you love it, please do let me know what I'm missing out on in the comments. So that wraps up the review. Now let's talk subscriber giveaways. If you want to enter for the 500 subscriber giveaway, then please subscribe to the channel and email a quick screenshot to the email address on screen. I will randomly select winners of a fantastic Casio of your choice and maybe a brome grass mug and sticker after we hit 500, and everyone who enters for the 500 sub giveaway will automatically get an extra entry for the 1000 sub giveaway, which may or may not include a G-Shock and brome merch. So, thanks everyone for watching, and if you enjoyed, please do subscribe, and thanks for supporting the channel, my men. Oh, and of course, if you hated the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs down, comment below, and subscribe for more.